Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Artist Over Actor. My name is Javon Henry. I'll be your host, and today we're talking about something that is rather controversial. Just like the title says, without this, you are not an artist. Artist has a lot of different connotations, a lot of different meanings in the traditional text, but when we're talking about artist, we're talking about somebody who brings something new and of value and of meaning and of note into the world. And that can be something as simple as when you're driving and you need to get to work and you cut through traffic and you find a new offshoot, a new shortcut in order to get to work. I truly believe that that is the work of somebody who is creative. That is the work of an artist because it came from one very important thing. And that's when you're missing it, can you really consider yourself to be an artist? That's what we're going to explore, and that's what we're going to talk about today. First things first, this episode is brought to you by thatvoicebox.com. It is a website that is owned and created by me for all of the educational resources for you out there. So go over to thatvoicebox.com/education and get all of your free educational assets. And let's go ahead and jump right in and talk about today's topic. First things first, this is a conversation that comes from Twyla Tharp. Just found Twyla Tharp, creative genius. She has a book released called The Creative Habit, Learn It and Use It for Life. That is a book recommendation. That is on the reading list for today. Twyla Tharp, The Creative Habit, Learn It and Use It for Life. It's an absolutely incredible book so far that I am absolutely devouring. And as a baseline of today, we're going to be talking about how to deal with what Twyla Tharp characterizes as the white room. The white room, the blank page, empty manuscript, the regular script that you're just getting for the first time. How do we deal with receiving our creative instruction for the very first time and go about creating something of meaning, of note, creating something that considers yourself to be an artist or an artisan? First things first, here's a question that we have to answer. And this question is posed by Rick Rubin. What is it that we are paid for, that we are hired for, that we're contracted for as artists? This is a question that doesn't get asked very often. A lot of the time, we believe that we are hired for our end product. If we're a painter, when somebody hires us, they're hiring us for a painting. If we're a voice actor, when somebody hires us, they're hiring us for audio. They're hiring us to bring a character to life. I would argue that that is secondary. That is the second thing that you're being hired for. First and foremost, when somebody hires you, they're hiring you for your viewpoint and or for your name. They become synonymous after a while. When somebody goes and they hire on, let's say, Pablo Picasso, if they were to hire a Picasso, and at the end they own a painting by Pablo Picasso, is it more of note the painting itself or the fact that they have an original Pablo Picasso? It's one of those things. And as artists, I would argue that when somebody hires us, they are hiring on our perspective, our point of view, our approach, our idea of creation of a certain thing, whatever that medium is, whether you're writing a piece of music, whether you're painting, whether you're drawing, irregardless of what it is, they are hiring you for your perspective. And that is all that your portfolio is. It is a combination of things that you create in your perspective. That is the thing that holds a lot of people back from becoming an artist. They don't have a perspective. They don't have a voice. They don't have a reason why they're approaching something that they're approaching. And one of the things that's hardest as voice actors, which is what this show is catered towards, and artists in general, is developing that voice. So let's go over a couple of things that you can do in order to become that artist, which is why people are going to hire you, because you have a point of view. Number one, you need at bats. This is something that I talk about time and time and time again. This is something that I go back and forth for with my students, with my fiance and her business, with myself and my business. There's nothing that you can do to replace at bats in the situation that you're going to be in. I was recently on a class with Sebastian of the Monster Factory. Absolutely incredible man, absolutely incredible factory. They do vocal vocal gymnastics. They do monster sounds and monster vocalization and extreme sounds with their voice. And the one thing that he said that really got me going was the fact that a lot of people, when they're trying to send in their demos to him, they send in a short demo, as it should be. And if you'll get back to them, you'll be like, hey, I love the demo, love the work that you've done. How long can you keep this up before you start reaching vocal fatigue? And typically the response that he'll get is, oh, I can do this for a while. I can do this for like 15, 20 minutes before I start to get any type of vocal fatigue. In this industry, we are typically working with our voice, with our perspective in character for hours. On a standard video game contract, it is 2 hours minimum. $2.50 an hour, 2 hours minimum. If you can only do something for 15, 20 minutes, that's not very useful when it comes to working in the industry. It is the TikTokification, the short formification of all of our skills. You need stamina and you need the knowledge to be able to do this. It's not your fault if you've never actually done this and you start to learn a skill and you don't know how long you have to sustain it. So when it comes to things, you simply need at bats, which is why I always recommend either joining a group or starting your own projects or doing your own projects so that you can start to get experience and learn how to do things, learn how to have a point of view, learn how to have a perspective. This second point is something that comes from Stella Adler. It is absolutely a gorgeous point. It's a little bit of homework for whoever is listening. A little bit of homework at the beginning of the hour. It's a crazy idea. I want you to go out, and it's probably the middle of winter where a lot of you are. So I want you to go out and pick 12 leaves, all of the same color. It's not fall anymore. It's starting to get winter, so they're probably going to be brown. So if all of the leaves are dying, I want you to go and pick 12 rocks, similar shape, similar size, similar color. If you're somewhere where there's a lot of greenery, go out and pick 12 leaves, similar color, green or red. And I want you to bring these leaves, bring these rocks back, and I want you to write notes on what your opinion of each of these are. From the outside, this seems boring. This seems dull, but it is the second segue into what helps you become a creative artist. And that is getting a point opinion and a point of view on any subject that comes your way. Being able to see the difference between similar things is key. It is one of the things that is going to unlock untold realms when it comes to voice acting, acting, musicianship, any approach to artistry, just artistry in general. And that's because things in this industry are very similar. There's a very similar approach to multiple villain roles, very similar approach to multiple hero roles. You'll know when you're going to play a hero. They're very similar. Your job is not to simply speak words that are on a page. Just like it's not to simply play music that's on a page or to write words if you're a writer. It is to have an approach and opinion and be able to see small, minute changes and differences in each separate medium that you are a part of. That way, you can bring new light and new direction and enhance whatever project you come on. So, I highly recommend doing that project. I'm actually making a miniature art book of all of the leaves that I have. I take leaves, I take a picture, put that Polaroid inside an art book and write a small description. It is boring. It is about 30 to 50 pages of nothing but leaves, but each of those pages are a little bit different. Now, whenever I get a script in hand, no matter if it is almost the exact same script as another character that I have read, I'm able to take that character, digest that character, and figure out the minute differences to play it in a slightly different way. A little bit of tip, a little bit of homework for you. You need to critically be consuming. One of the things that we have fallen into the bad habit of doing as artists, as creators, as voice actors, actors, the whole like, is passively consuming media. Media is set up for us to passively consume it, right? It's not your fault that you passively consume media. It is set up so that we can just swipe very easily, so that we can watch a whole bunch of videos at a time and not really critically remember any of them. However, when it comes to us as artists, when we want to position ourselves so that we can learn, so that we can act in the best light possible, we need to be making critical choices about what it is that we consume and watching it and consuming it in a critical manner. So for example, I love the movie Dune. Absolutely love the movie. One of the best scenes for me is the box scene when he puts his hand in the box. The tortured look in his eye as he starts to fully unlock, without even realizing it, the stubborn willpower that he has. He will not cry out. He will not make a sound. He will not give her the satisfaction. I have recreated that scene on my own 3 or 4 times. It is a gorgeous scene. And I have broken down what that scene really means. When it comes to Avatar, Avatar 2, I watched that movie in theater 4 times. One in 3D, one in 3D Max with lasers, 2 times regular, because I love that movie, because I've truly wanted to understand the imagery. How did they actually make this look so real? How did they bring this to life in the way that they did? How did James Cameron do it? Critically consuming media is going to give you an eye for certain things that others who don't have that skill, and it is a skill, will not be able to routinely see. So when you're listening, and this is incredible, when you're listening to somebody and they start doing vocal fry, you're going to be able to say, oh, I can recreate that sound. It's just a little bit of vocal fry. All I have to do is this technique with my throat and I can recreate that sound. Because you have critically listened and you understand what it is that somebody is doing. With that, you can bring in new skills to your approach to your artistry. You can become the person who can simply listen to something and be able to break down what it is that that person is doing so that you can mimic it, so that you can practice it, so that you can bring it into your artistry. Critically listening is an underdeveloped and an undertaught skill, but it's very easy to do. And this is how you do it. Go through your social media and follow the people who you actually want to follow. Don't just look through your For You feed, your recommended feed. Go through and follow artists who you actually want to see their work, who you actually care about, and who actually resonate with you. After you follow these artists, what you want to do is whenever you're on social media, make sure you enter it with the perspective of, I want to see X, Y, and Z and learn about X, Y, and Z. Now you can look through your feed, and when you see a photo that you like, stop and write down in a little notebook in your phone why you like that photo, why you like that scene, why you like that approach. That is all that you need to do. You're eventually going to have hundreds of pages of why you like that scene and why you like that approach. And that is your critical work, where you start to critically break down why you like something, and then you can incorporate that into your own work. That is another thing that we are hired on for as artists, our approach and our ability to critically take in information. You need to have a point of view. You need to have something to say. At the baseline of this whole conversation, that is what we're talking about today. Artists are someone with points of view about whatever the topic is. When we're writing a piece of music, there's a point of view. There's a reason why. There's something that we are trying to say through our music. There is an absolutely amazing video of it's a football game, and there's a band in the stand, and there is a trombone player, and he plays a solo that is absolutely gorgeous. And a lot of the questions are, why is he going that hard? Why is he doing this? This is just a football game. Why is he even putting this much effort and energy into it? And let me tell you, he had something to say. He had something to say. Simply just look up, if you want to look up what video I'm referencing, just go on Google and search uh, trombone player during football game. It's recent enough where it should come up. That is what I mean by have a point of view and have something to say. He was playing his heart and soul into that instrument. I don't know what demons he was trying to chase away, but oh my God, it got a point of view across. Having something to say is always difficult, especially when you're approaching a white room, an empty room, when you're approaching a blank page, when you're approaching a bare script that is just speaking for the first time. It is very difficult. It is not easy. Excuse me. Okay. It is difficult and it is not easy to do. But You will never start to be able to get there without having at bats, without taking time to practice, taking time to critically consume media, taking time to actually put yourself in situations that will help enhance the skills. I don't care how much talent you have as a singer, unless you actually sing, you're not going to be able to pull it out if you get hired to do that job. Unless you actually practice as a voice actor, if you get a gig, you're not going to be able to fulfill the gig. You can read, you can study, you can consume media, you can listen, you can join into classes like this, you can audit classes. But unless you get behind a microphone and record yourself and listen back, you're not going to be able to do it for a client. And having a point of view is the reason why we are hired on, for our approach and for our point of view. One of the biggest things that I want to get across today. And there are really two more parts to this. You need to have skills. A lot of the time, we push back the factor that is the hardest for us to engage and to learn on. And that factor is skill. It's very difficult. We want the magic pill. We want the magic bullet. And that's not just you. It's not a call out for you. It's a call out for a lot of us, myself included. If you want to bulk up and you want to lose weight, there is one way to do that. Watch what you eat and exercise more. That is the answer. It is a very easy answer, but it is not easy to do. We don't think that that is the baseline thing. Well, can I just take this magic pill? Can I just try this diet? Can I just do this? No, it is months and months of eating right and going to the gym, save for the things that are actually medical reasons, which do exist and which do get special consideration. It's the same with anything in artistry. If you want to become a voice actor, you need to voice act. Plain and simple. Like I said, you can join all the seminars, listen to all the talks, get all of the background information. It is very vital to do, but you need to actually get behind a microphone and you need to put yourself out there. If you want to become a painter, you need to paint. If you want to become an animator, you need to animate. This is stuff that seems painfully obvious, but as you know, it's very difficult to do. If you want to become a YouTuber, you need to start a YouTube channel. You need to make a video. You need to post that video. Then you need to do that hundreds of times. It's the same exact thing as a voice actor. You need to be working to gain the skills, which we've talked about in prior podcasts and prior episodes, and I'll keep talking about throughout my entire tenure. You need to gain the skills in order to do this job. And the skills are not watching videos on it. It's making your own project. It's having your own project be terrible. I have plenty of terrible projects that I will never release that are in my back catalog. Awful projects, overdubs of old anime titles and commercials that I've taken the video and stripped out all the audio and put my voice over that sound awful. But all of that awful has led me to be able to do what I do today, which is take a commercial, understand the point of view, understand what they're going for, understand what the client is going for, be able to look at a script and go, all right, this is what I'm doing today. This is my approach. And 9 times out of 10, have a client go, that was fantastic. Let's just tweak this small thing and then we're good to go. And that just comes from getting your at-bats. Hey, what's going on, Lawyer? Hope that you're doing well. Love catching these lives. I love having you on. Love having everybody on. Thank you so much. I find it easy to practice different styles of VA, but where is a good place to practice ADR since it's such a specific thing? That is a very good question. ADR, for everybody who is watching who might not know, stands for automatic or automated dialogue replacement. It's essentially a very difficult thing in the movie industry and something that people spend tens of thousands of dollars on. So if you have a scene that sounds particularly bad and an actor did it and you need, or somebody did it and you need it to be replaced with clean audio, you have a voice actor come in and they sit in and they're trying to replicate the timbre, the style. You need to replicate the environment that it's in, the EQ, the background noise. It's very difficult. And like you said, Lawyer, it is a very difficult thing to practice. One of the things that I practice when it comes to ADR is mimicry. Mimicry is very important. Now, you don't want to try and sound exactly like whoever it is that you're replacing, but you need to be pretty damn close. And that's one thing that's going to be very important. Now, that's just a skill that comes with listening, recording, listening back, listening to the source, taking notes, and then doing that ad nauseum over and over again. ADR classes is going to be one of the best ways in order for you to practice. That is because you're going to have a class that is set up and conducive to it. You have a teacher who's on the other side, who's recording it, who works to put it in so that you can have a full listening experience. Aside from that, it's going to be the very difficult path of you take that source material, you strip out the audio, and there are plugins that will allow you to just strip out that voice so that you still have the karaoke track, I guess you can call it. You put in your voice and you listen to the before and after. How closely did it match up? That is going to be the number one way to practice that skill. But it is a very difficult skill to practice. That and dubbing are two very difficult skills that do require different types of equipment and different types of machinery. With ADR and with dubbing, it very much so helps if you have two screens. If you have one screen, it's very hard to do dubbing. A lot of classes will not let you in unless you have two screens. I have a 43-inch curved monitor, and it's still very difficult for me to do it. It's just some things require different pieces of equipment, and I hope that I answered your question, Lawyer. That is typically the best way that I have found in order to do ADR. It's just stripping out, putting in your own voice, listening back to see how closely it matches up, taking notes, and going and doing it again and again. The last point that I have today before I hop off and go get on my auditions is you need to know yourself. Knowing yourself is one of the finest things that you need to do as an artist. And it's crazy because Rick Rubin says this all the time. Rick Rubin, for those of you who don't know, is a creative genius, in my opinion. He is hired on by many of the top musical artists to help them create their songs, the essence of their songs. He is also the head of Def Jam Records, I believe. Don't get me lying on that. He's the head of a huge recording agency. That's really helpful. Appreciate that. Thanks for the content. Anytime, Lawyer. Happy to be here. And he has an interview that is very telling, and he's very brutally honest. And he's asked, why are you hired on? Can you work with a synth? He goes, not very well. Can you work as an audio engineer? Yeah, but it's not my forte. Can you write music? Yeah, rudimentarily. And they ask, so why are you hired on? And he says, because of my taste, because of my understanding of who I am and my approach to music. That is why I'm hired on. At the end of the day, any job that you are getting, you are hired on for those things. Why do I get a role over someone else, even though we might sound very similar? We might have very similar approaches to something in our recordings and in our auditions because of your approach. It's not just reading a script. It's not just reading a piece of paper. It is bringing something to life with your approach and with your understanding, with your knowledge, with your background, and with you. You are the essence of every single project and every single medium that you take on. The beautiful thing is when you're working with a group, it becomes something that you could never replicate on your own. That is the beauty of being a musician. That's why some of my best times as a classical musician was working in a group setting, not as a soloist, in a group setting, because you make something that is truly magical, because the group becomes that perspective. So when you're being hired on, you need to know yourself. You know yourself by figuring out, what books do you like? What's your favorite type of tea? What is your favorite type of photo? When you go out, do you like taking photos? Do you like listening to music? What's your favorite genre of music? What do all of these things say about you? They just inform you of who you are. And knowing who you are is truly the thing that makes you an artist. Back to the question that we had at the top of the hour. What is it that makes you an artist? What is it that without this thing, it's questionable as to whether or not you are truly an artist? That thing is perspective. It is voice. And that is simply something that comes with time, with learning what you like, with incorporating yourself into your artistry, and with truly pushing to become who you want to be to show your point of view. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining back onto another episode of That Creative One on Monday morning. It's always lovely to hang out with you guys. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to see anything in a future episode, go ahead and email it over to info@jaytheva.com. That is info@jaythava.com. That is my direct email, and I love to hear from you guys about episodes or future episodes. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next video.